What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 484 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's Matt and KB coming at you from Underground Studios. We've got a lot to dive into tonight here on Thanksgiving Eve. Obviously the big news that came across today with Bryce Harper. We'll get into that. We'll get into the Birds. We'll get into the Sixers. And, of course, we'll get into Survivor 43. Unfortunate end for our guy.
Our streak is over.
The streak has come to an end. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Facebook.com/Underground Sports PHI. And, of course, you can watch every Wednesday show. Twitch.tv/Underground Sports PHI. Make sure you check out the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It really helps the show continue to grow to where we want to get this thing going into right on the horizon. It's sneakily coming up on us, 5 years of Underground Sports Philadelphia. But leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You get full video episodes of this show twice a week. And, of course, every podcast on our network as well. So be sure to subscribe, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Smash that like button, ring the bell icon, comment down below your thoughts on everything Matt and I talk about tonight. And big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Main Auto LLC, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. What's going on, Matt?
Living the dream.
Just wrapped up some World Cup talk on Top Bins. Make sure you guys go check that out as well. But big news coming across just an hour or so ago. Bryce Harper did have Tommy John surgery today on that elbow, and it is expected to keep him out until after the All-Star Game break. So we will have Bryce in the second half of 2023. It just sucks that, you think of 13 years of Bryce Harper, and now you've had a pandemic-shortened season. You've had Bryce Harper getting hit in the face MVP season. Now you have Bryce Harper getting hit in the hand/elbow ligament injury that shortened his season for about 2 months, and now he won't be playing for the Phillies again until July.
Yeah, very frustrating. You'd like to have your best players available for the whole season, but listen, miss Harper for a chunk of this past season, and we're somehow able to still play good ball. So have to depend on other players to step up. Have to address some of that maybe depth over these next few weeks and next months of the off season. So hopefully we're able to do that. It just sucks. We're at least able to have him as a DH for most of the last season, and we obviously didn't have his fielding. Not that he's like a Gold Glover necessarily, but we were still able to benefit a lot from his hitting, and that's going to be a big loss. But you have to hope that this team finds a way to overcome that.
And you look at it now, and the Phillies added Johan Rojas to their 40-man roster last week, but do you think, because I'm still kind of on the fence about it once I saw it, do you think it changes the trajectory of what Dave Dombrowski, who we'll get into as well, does this offseason? Like, obviously, shortstop, Trey Turner's, Xander Bogaerts, they have been in the mouths of Phillies Twitter and, reporters since the offseason began, and even before then with Trey Turner. Starting pitching is it's not necessarily as big of a need as I think shortstop is now that Gene Segura is gone as a free agent. But now, do you go and get a guy who can play right field defensively so you can keep Nick Castellanos at the DH and kind of help your outfield defense a little bit more? Not that Nick, down the stretch in the postseason was fantastic defensively, but, for an April to mid-July stretch, do you want Nick Castellanos out in the outfield, or do you want him kind of focusing on bouncing back as a hitter, which is the main reason you signed him, and then you go get somebody who can play the outfield a little bit and help you defensively?
Does Nick Castellanos have his Adderall prescription? Because then yes, I'm fine with him playing outfield and his focus being
Should ask
sharpened.
Carlos Ruiz.
I think probably the most likely outcome is this just encourages, I think, Dombrowski to create like a platoon guy. Mm-hmm. And I think we've done that almost every offseason at this point, tried out something. So yeah, that would be, I think, the way this gets addressed. Because realistically, too, like, you can't be making like big roster decisions based on someone being unavailable for like 4 or 5 months, knowing that they're going to come back and no one's displacing Bryce Harper, in the hitting lineup. And yeah, you have obviously like a lot of talent that you've paid a lot of money for. So you're not going to be like breaking bank here, but I do think you get like a serviceable, wins above replacement type of guy, a replacement level player, and, have that just kind of work out for you for a few months. And yeah, like the ideal thing too, like you said, is Castellanos being to DH again and having that opportunity, because we saw it in like some flashes last season, like the guy you expected. On the whole, I would say like a disappointing season from Castellanos in production wise, but if we can get that playoff defensive performances out of him, yeah, maybe he stays in the outfield.
I'll give you the list here from MLB.com of the right fielders that they have highlighted as free agents. You tell me if you'd rather have them in the fold, just being out there in the outfield every day from April to now mid-July. Obviously, not going to happen, but this right fielder group headlined by Aaron Judge.
Hey, why not? Let's make a push. Why not? Why not us?
Why not us?
Front and center. What could go wrong?
No big deal.
Finally figured out our center field position.
Mitch Haniger, who I wouldn't mind that. Obviously, with the Seattle Mariners, has had some injury issues over the past couple of seasons, but I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on 32-year-old Mitch Haniger. His wins above replacement at a 3.3, which is the second best to Aaron Judge's 16.9. He's a quality defensive outfielder. He can hit the ball, and I think once Bryce comes back too, he's like a very, very above average solid fourth outfielder.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next up, I kind of don't want anything to do with, because I think he's more of a first baseman than a right fielder, Will Myers from the San Diego Padres, but his wins above replacement 3.0. He's also 32 years old. Tyler Naquin, 32 years old as well, a WAR of 1.5. Here's another interesting one, because he is a Scott Boras guy. Didn't play last year because he's bouncing back from injury. We could steal another guy from the Mets, Michael Conforto, at age 30. I think if you're going to sign somebody to play right field, that's the type of guy I think the Phillies are going to be targeting.
I do like the way the Phillies announcer pronounces Michael Conforto. So I would actually, just for that, like aesthetics alone, I think I'd be into that.
And I mean, he's not a bad player. Obviously, we haven't seen him in a little over a year because of the injury he sustained to his shoulder, but I feel like if the Phillies are going to go that route of signing a platoon type of guy to replace Bryce for the time being, it's going to be a Conforto type. Then you have Aristides Aquino, who I believe was with the Reds, 29 years old, of 0.6 wins above replacement. And then you have Willie Castro, who is 26, with a 0.6 wins above replacement. And then the next three guys, a little bit older, negative WAR, Dexter Fowler, Stephen Piscotty, Cole Calhoun.
I like Cole Calhoun as a name alone.
Former Angel.
I'm just comparing all these guys to see. Mitch Haniger had like a pretty nice season last year.
Yeah,
I think
I like Mitch Haniger a lot.
If you're talking like fill in, that's a nice little spot for us.
I like him a lot. But obviously this week too, announced Dave Dombrowski signed through 2027.
Surprising.
Not going to Nashville anytime soon, it seems. I like the move. I think Dave has done a fantastic job so far, kind of righting the wrongs of Andy McPhail and Matt Klentak. Not that, it was that difficult to right the wrongs of those two. But I think Dave Dombrowski has done a fantastic job so far helping, push the Phillies to the postseason, push them to the World Series this year, making the necessary moves to make them a much better contender of a team, and for him to be here for the next 5 seasons, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27 is huge.
Yeah. Just back on Mitch Haniger. Every season that he's been healthy, he's been
very good.
An all-star or not like a series MVP candidate, but has gotten MVP votes.
Yeah.
So
very good outfielder for the Seattle Mariners.
I'm fully in. If we don't get this guy, I'm ending it all. So that's I'm all the way locked in.
We're on Trey watch. We're on Mitch watch.
Dombrowski, it's interesting because he has sort of retooled this team in a very positive way. And we were very close, obviously winning some hardware, this past fall. So I don't hate it. I think he's not like the best, but he's not the worst. He's like a good stepdad. It's like I don't have history with this guy. I don't know that I love him, but he makes my mom happy. It's like,
and he certainly did some things to win us over this year.
Yeah, like he took the whole family on a vacation. Like, wow, this guy's actually kind of cool. All right. Like, he's an overall just fine. He's a fine guy.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you saw too the story about Rob Thompson that came out this week as well, where he kind of told pretty much everyone on the team that he had 1 more year as a bench coach after the 2021 season, then he was going to hang him up. And then Girardi gets fired, and now he's the manager of the team for the next 2 years.
Jesus. Ain't it funny how it works?
Funny how life works. Also, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I think it makes way more sense than I think we're putting value into. We've obviously talked about Carlos Rodon, the hilarity that it would be if we signed Jacob deGrom. I think the Phillies should be all in on Justin Verlander.
That would be hilarious. I would love it. Kate Upton was talking that talk in the stadium with fans, and definitely give off some Philly energy there. Let's see what MLB.com is saying.
He's got history with Dombrowski from their time in Detroit.
He does.
Dombrowski drafted him.
So they have potential shooters as the Astros, of course.
Which I'm kind of putting a little hesitance on him going back to the Astros because the Astros GM is no longer there now. He wanted to get a big contract extension, pay raise type situation, I think, and the Astros were like, nah, and he's gone. So the guy who brought him in from Detroit is no longer there. So I don't know what that level of trust is like with Verlander and the entire front office as a whole with the Astros. So that's why I think it makes it a little more enticing if the Phillies wanted to go after him because he has that history with Dombrowski.
Yeah, I'm just curious what his price would be.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rangers have been linked with everyone. This offseason so far.
Not that they didn't spend almost $1 billion last offseason and won 66 games.
Yeah, I'm very because they're apparently high on the Rodon sweepstakes too.
And DeGrom.
It's kind of your usual suspects here. Yankees, Dodgers, Blue Jays would be fascinating, but I think there's a little bit of cause for concern. He's 40.
Yeah,
I know that he is
he's the Tom Brady of baseball right now.
Yeah, and it's just do you really want to bet that you're not going to be stuck with the bag?
Right.
That I think is the concern because it's at that age too. Any small injury becomes much more dangerous. This was a guy too that a few years ago didn't seem like was
ever going to pitch again.
Yeah, you can't lose sight of
that. It's been kind of crazy too, where some of these unusual suspect teams have been very active so far in free agency, and a lot of other teams have just kind of been quiet, I guess, waiting until December to get ready for free agency. But the Angels have made a lot of moves.
Yeah,
and it's some notable guys going to the Angels. Tyler Anderson, who was linked to the Phillies quite a bit a couple seasons ago via trade, and then goes to the Dodgers, and has a bounce back all-star season. Now he's with the Angels. He was somebody that was on the radar for the Phillies this offseason as well, to kind of come in and be behind, Wheeler, Nola, and, pivot him in there either in front of or behind Ranger Suarez. And then they go get Gio Urshela, and then they go get Hunter Renfroe, not the receiver from the Raiders.
It is spelled differently for those.
Yeah.
For those who are challenged by just the audio form.
But I mean, you look at a team like the Angels, who we joke all the time, like they have two of the best baseball players we've ever seen, and they can never even get out of their own division. Going and making moves, I'm just curious why some of the bigger name teams are kind of still hesitant to go out and, start shaking up the free agent market a little bit.
I think you're seeing like the teams that are desperate to make those moves make them.
Yeah.
Like they don't have the time necessarily to be maybe patient and try and get a little, like, extract a little value out of like certain spots. They have to go out and be aggressive. I feel like the Angels every offseason were like, wow, man, I like their moves, and then it's like by May, like, well, looking forward to seeing what they dredge out of the free agency market in November. Like it's just I don't know. It must be very frustrating for Angels fans.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Thankful that we have Brandon Marsh here.
Yeah,
we saved him. But it's going to be a wild free agency with baseball too, because it seems like every week there's a new Japanese player that's being posted as well, or like in talks of being posted. So I think that's going to throw so many like wrenches into this free agency period for baseball that we're going to see. And obviously the Phillies are linked to one of these guys. So we'll see if that happens. And I'm wondering if that's like the first, domino to fall that makes a lot of sense too. If you avoid the free agent market, bringing over the guy from Japan who plays right field and Bryce Harper's his idol to fill in for him for 4 months.
That would be nice.
Would be pretty sweet. So maybe that's what the Phillies are waiting for, is him to get posted and then just throw him the bag to be the right fielder in the interim.
Apparently, Steph Curry helped pitch Aaron Judge on joining the San Francisco Giants. So
I wonder if Steph's pitch to Aaron Judge was better than Dak Prescott's pitch to Odell Beckham Jr.
I mean, God alive. Has there ever been a more public free agency courting that ultimately is going to mean absolutely nothing? No shade to Odell Beckham, because he was terrific in the Super Bowl and then gets injured. I'm sorry, but why is everyone throwing themselves at the feet of this guy who's not young, just coming off an ACL injury
for the second time,
has been out of the league for a year, almost
pretty
a year.
much.
Is this guy really gonna make that big of a difference?
I'm wondering if it's
is he that important of a player?
No,
that it's I've never
to
seen,
those two teams. Maybe
I've never in my life seen.
It's crazy.
The official team Twitter account talking about just a current player having a discussion with a free agent. I've never seen that in any sport. That's what are we doing?
It's beyond desperate.
This isn't even like a Eagles Cowboys. This is just I would think this is bizarre no matter who did it.
Yeah, I saw
it's a bizarre thing to do.
Our boy Matt, Panasonic XD 4500 on Twitter said, if the Eagles did this, I would boo them out of Philadelphia. It's worse than desperation what they're doing. And I'm wondering if it's more on Odell's side because, he got his signing bonus from the Rams in Bitcoin, and we all know how that's going right now.
Yeah, maybe that's why he's choosing a state with no, but they don't have income tax, right? So
it's unreal. But we are on, back to the Phillies real quick. We're still on Trey watch. We're still on Xander watch too. It is pretty fascinating that both of those guys, the first team that they've really been linked with outside of their own is the Phillies. And obviously there's connections for both guys to this team, but it is nice knowing that the Phillies are that premier free agent destination again. A lot of that having to do with Bryce, choosing here. But it seems like year after year now, we had Bryce, we had Zach Wheeler, then you have Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos choosing to come here. The Phillies being that premier free agent destination again is a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to like I call it like Photoshop season, like
Yeah.
where you're seeing guys Photoshop the New York jersey. It's cool to be like a part of that discussion, I guess. The Phillies never really like a big Philadelphia in general, never a big like free agency destination. I mean, Bryce has been the biggest free agency acquisition probably ever.
Yeah. Just in terms of contract and like
and profile and talent levels. I mean, really, like there's very few players that we've gotten as free agents like that. So
yeah, I think baseball wise, it's Bryce, Cliff Lee when he came back, and Jim Thome.
yeah,
I think those were like the three premier like big time free agents. And I think you can throw Zach Wheeler in that conversation now too. Like the way he's performed in a Phillies uniform, I think
he's at a Cliff Lee standard for sure.
Yeah, has like far exceeded any expectation, especially when he was on the free agent market the same time as Garrett Cole, and you see what Garrett Cole has done in a New York Yankees uniform compared to what Zach Wheeler's done, and I think a lot of people would say they'd rather take Zach Wheeler's resume in a Phillies uniform than Garrett Cole's in a Yankees.
The contract ain't half bad either.
Exactly.
And what, like a quarter of Garrett Cole's price?
And no sticky stuff.
No sticky stuff.
But yeah, we're in the full swing of MLB free agency, and we're in the full swing of the Eagles being 9-1, getting set for Sunday Night Football in the blackout uniforms. And our Eagles segment tonight brought to you by our good friends over at Trophy Smack. Guys, you've probably been in some fantasy leagues like myself for a decade, and your league's trophy is probably a decade old, if not more. And you need to upgrade your fantasy smack talk. You guys can go to trophysmack.com/underground. It's linked in the description on audio and on the YouTube channel. And you can check out, they got belts, they got rings, trophies, last place trophies if your league is petty like that. And now they have metal wall art that you can get made for your fantasy leagues. They've got it all. It's the best way to upgrade your fantasy smack talk. Go to trophysmack.com/underground and upgrade your fantasy smack talk today. Matt, the Eagles are debuting their blackout uniforms this Sunday night at the Link against the Packers, and allegedly Aaron Rodgers has had a broken thumb since the Packers played in London against the Giants, and the Eagles are fortunate to be at 9-1 after a very tough nail-biting game against the Colts. But, going into this matchup, I'm feeling a little bit better thanks to the free agent acquisitions that the Eagles made with Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. I think they were big-time reasons the Eagles were even able to win that game on Sunday. But going up against the Packers, they are such a wild card team, even in their current state. You see what they do in some of these games this year, and then somehow, some way, are still the kryptonite to the Dallas Cowboys and pull off a big-time win against them. So you can't exactly count the Packers out, but Sunday night at the Link at 8:25 p.m., it's going to be absolutely electric, to kind of cap off this holiday weekend. New helmets in the fold for the Eagles, too, to kind of complete the full blackout uniform. And whenever they roll out the blackout uniforms, it's always, that game means something a little extra in the regular season. But I think your biggest task, especially now knowing that it's public knowledge that Aaron Rodgers has a broken thumb, you got to be able to shut down the other Aaron, and that's Aaron Jones.
Yeah, who I think is got a questionable tag. But it's Wednesday, so you often see like the rest days for a lot of guys today. But I think the Eagles in that Colts win too showed a lot of what maybe detractors would have wanted to see, which is Jalen Hurts making a big drive at the end of the game and see some big defensive stops, in that game too. Colts in a little bit of like resurgence now, so not the easiest place to go and win. I'm looking forward to this one. I mean, this is one that it felt like we highlighted so much at the beginning of the year, and now it's interesting. Just such a different feeling, a different vibe around this game than maybe what we were expecting, and just how bad the Packers have been this year. They obviously get one over on the Cowboys, but that felt like a little bit of 9 times out of 10, I think Dallas closes that game out. Where they were 195-0 going into the fourth quarter with a lead like that. So, I think if the Eagles play the way they have, and the Packers play the way they have this year, the Eagles should be winning this game. And I believe that is what will happen.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about, especially like you said, it was kind of a statement from Jalen Hurts in that game to drive down the field and, cap it off with a game-winning touchdown on his own, put the team on his back. I said on Sunday's show that came out on Monday, that was an MVP resume builder for Jalen Hurts. Even though the game was ugly, he made some mistakes in it as well. For him to be able to have the composure, drive the team down the field, get the passing touchdown to Quez Watkins, and then get that game-winning touchdown to lock in the win for the Eagles, that's something that at the end of the season people are going to look at and be like, okay, he put the team on his back. He did what, everyone expects of the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes, those MVP candidates that you see year in and year out. And I think right now the MVP candidacy in the NFL is just a two-dog race where we sit right now, and I think it's Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Mahomes is going to be tough to catch. I think he has the name recognition, and the Chiefs have really turned it up. They've had a ton of primetime games too that I think that always kind of turns into a narrative story a lot of times. And I think the Chiefs, he's kind of been left to the wilderness the last 2 seasons, in these MVP discussions. And I think people kind of want to. He's still young enough in his career too that people aren't afraid to return to the well, because again it is all narrative driven. So the Chiefs, if they continue the way that they are, it's probably Mahomes for MVP. But Hurts has been good. I don't know. I think if we're talking about MVP guys, it's usually one of those top seeds and the quarterback of one of those top seeds, and we'll see where he gets counted among that narrative. But I do think Mahomes is probably the more likely.
Yeah, I think the biggest way Jalen Hurts walks away with the MVP this season is the Eagles finishing with the best record in the NFL, which they currently have. And I think it helps, too, in a weird sense, and we'll see. Obviously, you still have a game against the Cowboys to go and 2 against the Giants, but if he can win those games, I think it'll go a long way because of how good record-wise the Giants and Cowboys have been this year. Obviously, keeping the NFC East extremely competitive, where you look at Patrick Mahomes' division, it's been kind of the opposite with, a very dysfunctional Raiders team, the Chargers being up and down, and the Broncos just being an absolute nightmare from what everyone expected. So I think that might play a little part into it, just, the way that you play against your divisional opponents and just seeing on paper how good the Giants and Cowboys have been. If Jalen Hurts can, pull out wins against those 2 teams, 3 times in the final month of the season, I think that'll go a long way as well for, people finally starting to open their eyes and realize Jalen Hurts is an NFL caliber quarterback and deserves some recognition for it. He's only 24.
Yeah, and he's improved every year in the league too, which is
so rare.
Not very common at all. If we talk about guys like Justin Fields, right? Jalen Hurts is a little bit of that blueprint where starting to see flashes of what he can do. There's still questions, and I think even there's still some questions about Jalen Hurts and his performance, right? Especially against man coverage, but we'll see. I think the playoffs is really going to be the litmus test ultimately, because it's fine or whatever to be a player or a quarterback that can lead your team to regular season success, like Dak Prescott, right? You have to be able to win in the playoffs. Ultimately, that's what matters.
100%. And I mean, you look at some of the teams around the league with young quarterbacks, and I mean, the Jets are already benching Zach Wilson. They're above 500, and they're just over his attitude and his demeanor already.
Oh, does he have an attitude problem? I don't think I've ever.
No. No. What a menace. It's just funny to see Jets fans in particular, they champion this guy, he's our baby, he's going to take us to the promised land, and not even 2 full years later, they've completely turned on him.
Absolutely hilarious. I love every second of it.
It's beautiful. And hopefully, for the Eagles, Jordan Davis should be back after this game. I think he's eligible to come off of IR, which will be huge because Derrick Henry is no tall task to overstep, but Eagles-Packers is going to be a fun little nightcap to a long holiday weekend that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully, I think the way I'm looking at it, you want the Giants to win on Thanksgiving because then that kind of splits the tiebreaker that the Cowboys currently have over the Giants in the division, and it kind of comes down to overall record for the playoffs and everything. And then we're rooting for the New England Patriots of all teams to beat the Vikings. Kirk Coupons ran out of coupons against the Cowboys.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought we'd be here?
4:25 is indeed prime time.
Yes, it is. If I think it changes with the season too, where it gets dark now a little bit earlier. Like that's kind of just
even in the dome. It is. It's prime time. Kirk Cousins. It was very funny seeing some Vikings fans on Twitter too saying if this game was at 1:00, it'd be different.
So true.
Oh man. But from the Eagles, we go to what a wild internet night last night was down at the Wells Fargo Center. We have earlier in the day on Ben Simmons' Instagram story a selfie with Howard Eskin.
Jesus Christ.
I had no fucking clue what universe we were living in.
Truly passed into the ether with that one.
And then the Sixers down every player you could imagine. Pull out a big win against the Brooklyn Nets, and Ben Simmons just absolutely, again, looking like a big stupid head, shushing the crowd, and then claiming he thought it would have been louder. It's like, buddy, you were telling him to be quiet.
Jesus Christ.
And very, very funny for Tobias Harris to commit to the bit that is the Philadelphia 76ers and having a Tobias Harris game in the game where everyone else was out.
Yep. And Doc to strangely coach very well in this game. Keyball Paul playing well,
out
actually
the
getting
mud.
minutes. I just man, what a re-entry it's been for me too. For I kind of cut the Sixers out of my life. It's still been hard with the World Cup because I'm dedicating time during the day. It's just, but obviously I had to watch this one because it's the return of the prodigal son, as it was. Damn, it felt good.
Yeah.
Damn, did it feel good to not lose that one. I think it's hilarious that essentially the entire starting roster is out for this game, and yet we still handle the Nets. I think that's a huge indictment of their current ability and what they are as a team. So, yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it's kind of over though. I'm glad each time Ben returns, it'll be a little bit of something. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we kind of got it out of the way now though, and not to say this is it. We'll never talk about it again, but it'll never be this level again. It is just kind of exhausting. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we got our win. I'm glad everyone publicly now recognizes that he's a giant baby and a fraud, and that's it. We can all just move on with our lives.
Missed his free throws. Yes. So everybody got their free chicken.
Shout out to the chicken.
And then I think the unsung hero of everyone being out right now is DeAnthony Melton.
Yeah, one of the best pickups I think of the
entire offseason.
And I think in recent Sixers history too. If we could clone him, have 3 other DeAnthony Meltons, we'd be in a very good spot. I'll say that much.
He's just born to play here. He fit right in. He's slowly becoming a fan favorite, and I think it's only going to grow as some of these guys are out with injury. Hopefully Joel is back sooner rather than later. I don't know. Did I might have missed Tyrese Maxey, how long he's going to be out?
It's not long. I think it's only.
Is it a typical reevaluated in 2 weeks?
It's 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
With a foot injury. So.
Yeah. So hopefully Maxey's okay. Coming back and everything.
And we should be getting Harden back early December, maybe. Strained foot. Who knows what that means?
But it has been nice. Not every teammate has to do it. It has been nice that James Harden has been at every game very supportive of the guys who are playing.
He doesn't care about basketball, Kyle. He's just he's a terrible teammate, terrible person.
He's overweight.
Yeah, doesn't care.
Never has cared.
Yep. Not a day in his life.
But before we dive more into the the Philadelphia 76ers. Make sure you guys check out our merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. They are the official merch provider of Underground Sports Philadelphia and all of our podcasts. With their unique designs, there's no doubt you're going to stand out in the crowd at the Link, at the Farg, and when the springtime rolls around, Citizens Bank Park, or at Subaru Park, with the Union. And you guys can rep your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast now as well. We have our own subsection on the storefront at PHI Apparel Company. So you guys can use our code UNDERGROUND for 10% off at phiapparel.co. That's phiapparel.co, and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off. And in the coming days, there's going to be a big time, first wave merch capsule that we have dropping with all of our shows and everything that you won't want to miss. So shout out to our merch partners. Go check them out. It's the best way you can support us for continuing to grow this thing as a company, and help us grow financially. So go check out our merch partners, phiapparel.co. Sixers playing the evergreen team tonight, the Charlotte Hornets.
We are always playing the Charlotte Hornets in some
capacity.
dimension, some form.
There's some alternate universe.
Always on a back-to-back.
Yes. There's some alternate universe where the Sixers' 82-game schedule is just against the Hornets.
And we would be 80-2, I think.
Probably. that maths.
The math be mathin'.
Yeah, it always seems like it is on a back-to-back one way or another, whether it's home or away. I'm slowly just beginning to believe Kyle Neubeck and everybody else that Doc's not getting fired.
Yeah, because here's why, especially when you have so many starters injured.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's a built-in couldn't do much with it. It's like, Christ, we're really can't believe we're gonna
second round exit. Here we come.
Flush another season down the drain. That's what I think has me most disinterested in really logging into the Sixers again. I just can't do it.
It's so frustrating.
Emotionally, it's very hard. Very hard caring about this team.
Yeah, especially after the September to early November run we had with, just the Eagles' success so far, the Phillies going to the World Series, the Union in the MLS Cup. That was excitement and rejuvenation. And the Sixers, it just seems like there's no end in sight to just the typical let's play 82 games and then just get bounced in the second round.
It's a nightmare. We're living a nightmare. I don't know what circle of Dante's Inferno we're at, but it's exhausting.
It is, to say the least, quite exhausting. Also, the other night, Greg Popovich was out from coaching, so Brett Brown is back on the bench, coaching for the Spurs, coaching Charles Bassey to being, who would have thunk, a good NBA player. He and Isaiah Joe absolutely tearing it up on their respective teams, and could have been here doing the same thing, but the Sixers hate developing talent.
I think we're in layer 8 of hell from Dante's Inferno, which is fraud.
That checks out on so many levels.
Yep. Bunch of frauds.
Shout out Howard Eskin.
That's where we are.
Good grief. Man. Now with Dante's Inferno, correct me if does it go from 1 to 8 or does it start and go up?
One is limbo.
Okay, so it goes down.
Yeah, and then it goes 1 to 9, the last being treachery, which is the deepest circle of hell where Satan resides.
I think we escaped that when we traded for James Harden.
And then there's the center of hell, which has Satan himself. So
I think we escaped the 9th realm when we traded Ben Simmons.
Yeah, we moved a layer back. There was a time that we were in, I don't know, gluttony, when we were just hoovering up picks.
That was the process era.
Yeah, we just couldn't. Man, and then there was some lust in there too.
Yeah.
Certainly horny for certain players. But Christ.
Got a little greedy along the way.
But I think we're firmly in fraud, because it's not just it's those who consciously and willingly commit fraud. All types of people commit fraud: panderers, seducers, flatterers, sorcerers, astrologers, hypocrites, thieves, false counselors, advisors. Yeah, that sounds like us.
Yeah, sounds like our jersey sponsor.
Yeah, Yeah, what's going on with that?
I was going to bring that up for you, and it's brought to you by our friends at Kenwood Beer. You guys can go and celebrate the holidays with our friends at Kenwood, the official beer of Underground Sports Philadelphia.
Did you accidentally tell your uncle to invest $17,000 in Bitcoin, and you're really not looking forward to the awkward Thanksgiving exchange this year?
Take a drink. Use that all new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. Matt, when you were out last week, myself and Pat Pitts talked about it a bit, and he told me, if I didn't have guys like you and Matt in my life, I probably would have been suckered in to this kind of stuff. And it's like, we're happy to help, but I wanted to get your thoughts now that you're back on the entire FTX scandal.
Wow, who saw that fucking coming?
We did.
I mean, Christ, it was like the most telegraphed thing of all time. I'm sorry. I feel bad for the people that lost their money in it because they've been defrauded. They've been sold a dream about tripling their money or whatever and making it out of whatever socioeconomic status they find themselves in. It was clearly just like the most obvious pyramid scheme fraud that I've ever seen in my life. The entire cryptocurrency circuit. Weird that we don't hear a peep about NFTs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think people deserve to lose money and status over this because there's a lot of celebrities and people that were happy to peddle this nonsense, and now I think they deserve some comeuppance. So I feel bad for the people that got defrauded in this, but ultimately there were a large group of those people too that when you tried to convince them that this was a bad idea, were very rude about and very, very locked in, and that they were going to be making tons of money, and that you could, as they would always say, have fun staying poor. So, have fun petitioning the government to get you your 5,000 V-Bucks back or whatever it is.
It did blow. Somebody brought this up, and it never crossed my mind really. So obviously we have gambling commercials shoved down our throats now. But you weren't able to advertise gambling until it was regulated. They had Tom Brady and Giselle advertising FTX like it was Tide.
Matt Damon at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. They were throwing it down like it was like the Got Milk commercial.
Yep. Well, you had to be bold, Kyle.
Fortune favors it.
Fortune favors the bold.
But I mean, it's also very funny that FTX was the Miami Heat arena sponsor, and who's back in the fold, Matt? Trying to get the naming rights. Bang Bros.
Great.
Trying to name it.
I mean, can it be any worse? I mean, honestly, it can't be any worse than a. I mean,
it gets funnier because they want it to be the Bang Bros Center. You shorten that.
What about the Bang Bros Bottom?
Yeah.
I remember I went to this really uncomfortable meeting for Verve, which was a popular, legitimate pyramid scheme from when we were younger. And one of their selling points, and this is their big people, companies like this love to do shit like this because it gives them some form of legitimacy. It's well, if we have the naming rights to this, how could we possibly not be legit? It's as if these people care. You just give them money and they'll put whatever name they want on. They had a lounge or something at the Phoenix Suns stadium. And that was Verve's claim to legitimacy. It was you think they would let us? And then you read all this shit about Robert Sarver. Actually, yeah, I can believe that that maybe the Suns did not do due diligence on who was buying naming rights for a bar in their stadium.
It is just I just love that if there's anything that we were ahead on, it's the whole crypto NFT bullshit, and that it was fake. I wonder, not that I care, but I wonder if this does change next year for the Sixers, their jersey sponsor. Obviously, it's not FTX, but it's Crypto.com. And they've also been in turmoil probably even longer than FTX with just all the quote-unquote crashing. So I wonder if that changes anything, and I wonder if it changes, you guys have talked about it on Top Ends. We talked about it on here, too, with some of the Premier League teams taking cryptocurrency sponsor. I wonder if it changes that whole platform.
It must. Like, it has to, because I mean, cryptocurrency is built on like just nonsense. It's like
It's fake.
outrageous speculation and fraud. And it shocks me that we have like that it's become like this mainstream this quickly, and it's been able to like find its way into these spots. I can't believe it.
It is, and it's eerie that, we've kind of dealt with similar stuff with the Sixers. Obviously, when we went on our Color Star Chronicles last year, FTX was just dumping all of everyone's money into a shell company.
Yeah. Nice.
Who would have thunk? If you listened to our podcast, you would have known.
If you just take away one message, it was that.
So yeah, absolutely wild stuff on that front. But Matt, let's get into Survivor 43, our Buffs and Snuffs Survivor segment here, brought to you by our friends at Tomahawk Shades. There's no better way to protect your eyes watching Survivor than with the Blue Light Plus glasses from Tomahawk Shades. Get your blue light glasses, sunglasses. They've got watches, hoodies, shirts. They got the undrafted shirts for Chris Hogan, who is an owner of the company, on their website. And you guys can use code USP at checkout for 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. That's code USP for 25% off your blue light glasses, sunglasses, and everything in between at tomahawkshades.com. Code USP. Our streak has come to an end, Matt. James voted out in a double tribal council, which I feel like, we should have a little asterisk next to our pick there. Not every day you get a double tribal this late in the season. But James voted out, unbeknownst to him, kind of blindsided a bit, not very happy he was voted out. Unfortunate end to our runner-up streak.
Yeah, it all started to turn in the last like 2 episodes, where it was like he still seemed like he was in a good position, but it just some cracks started to show. Didn't love the sour exit. I always, I get it. Who am I to say? But I always kind of like when they're just like, Losky. He definitely. There's not bitter jurors anymore. I don't know that that's really a thing. James feels like, though, if this is like the early 2010s, he is a bitter juror going on a tear at someone at Final Tribal, which admittedly does provide some entertainment. But yeah, a bummer. It felt like for a while like he was a good pick. I will say his at least believed partner Carla is someone that I'm really interested in for the rest of the season. I think she's been very good. Someone that I have a lot of faith in to do well. But for James, it's a bummer. The split up and then double votes I kind of like. I think it sort of forces people to put themselves in a little bit of jeopardy, and you kind of speed things up, and also I think had the potential for kind of bigger moves. When you break into smaller things like that. The steal vote was like, I had no idea where it was going when the steal vote came out. I was like, what is happening?
That was crazy.
That this is going on.
James leaves with an advantage in his pocket, as far as we know, with the knowledge is power. And I mean, I was thinking about this as I was watching the episode too. I'm curious because obviously they shoot the seasons back to back, but I'm curious, season 45. I feel like the shot in the dark might be dead.
Yeah, the shot in the dark does not feel like I feel like it's really not been a huge hit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess too, because it's never worked.
Yeah.
So it's like, if it doesn't have that big moment, it's not stuck into our mind. But yeah, I feel like it's been like nothing. I feel like it got mentioned once with Gabler,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's like it. I really can't remember off the top of my head it being like a prevalent part of the season.
I think it's only been used twice.
Yeah.
Since its inception in season 43 or season 41. So I think season 45 might put the.
I think it's just because you really have to be absolutely desperate to use it, or like just very misinformed about your place, and like just have no clue what's happening, get like anxious about it. But yeah.
So we'll see how that all plays out. But moving forward, we got 3 members of the jury now, as Ryan was also voted out, which I'm kind of happy about. I wasn't like the biggest fan of just like his all over the placeness in the game. Like, he felt like an ultimate wild card, and I think I like that more on the jury, to be honest. Like, to see how, he decides to determine his final vote when it's all said and done. But
he had his hands in a little bit of everything, too.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised to see him go. He felt like to me like a classic, like top 5, top 6 finish, just because like didn't really seem like a threat to win, and it felt like no one really like had any. Didn't really feel like there was a big reason to get rid of him, but I guess the people on the island know better than I do.
Yeah. So moving forward now, it seems like everybody's scrambling again, and everybody's name is being thrown into the mix in terms of being voted out. But what did you make from just the scenes we saw for this week's episode, and where you think we're gonna head?
This was a lot of setup for like Cody, right? To be
I think so.
To be in like some hot water. It never quite goes that way.
No.
There's like stuff about Jesse too. I think about like wanting to get like an advantage or something. We never do. They're good at the previews now. They know exactly how to get us. They know exactly. This has been the hardest season for me to like have a read on. We play fantasy and you have to like put your votes in on who you think is gonna. And I've just been whiffing hard this season on my votes. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Sarah asked me, she's like, who should I be putting my votes on? I was like, here's who I think is completely safe. It's like, I can't imagine Gene being voted out, and I think Ryan is safe. And Gene got voted out that night, and the only other person who got voted was Ryan, who is now also out of the game. Yeah. So, like, I don't know.
It's crazy.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. I've been wrong on everything this season.
It's that, and I feel like, there hasn't been that many advantages or idols found this season either, which kind of, like, makes it just like classic Survivor almost in an accelerated format, which is kind of interesting. Like, we haven't seen that many advantages found or people actively seeking them, and then the only other advantages we've known of are when people have gone on those journeys early in the season.
Yeah, those have been like the only things really I think of note.
So going into tonight, who do you think is completely safe that will end up talking about being voted out next week?
I would actually be, and I hope I'm not putting the stink on her, I would be shocked to see Carla. I feel like she's like seems under the radar. I feel like she's not someone that has gotten a lot of negative attention from anyone, and I think she's like a good control of the game. She has some advantages as well. So I like Carla. I think that's who I've been getting a good feeling about for the rest of the season. But I've been wrong about everything. But I would be surprised to see Carla go home because that would feel kind of out of the blue.
I've been surprised how long Sammy stuck around.
Yes, me too. And I think he's kind of grown into the game a little bit. He seems to have actually a pretty good read on the game from what we see. Again, who knows?
And especially since he's 19 and everyone still thinks he's 22.
He's 22. That's like such a big
gap.
Big gap. I was just saying, if you're gonna lie about your age, make it 27. Make it so that you've graduated. Because still people think of someone at 22 and they're like, well,
you're a student.
Yeah, what did you just get a job? It's not.
It is fascinating to me though that hasn't, not that it's a big thing, but that hasn't been revealed at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess he must just be able to sell it well. I don't know. It just feels weird to lie about your age by 3 years. It's just not. I don't know that you're really changing all that much.
And then it seems like Owen is kind of the wild card right now.
Yeah, Owen got into the argument with James about the votes and things like that. That felt like kind of some of the impetus for James maybe being voted out. Owen does seem a little bit on the outside though. Gets his vote stolen and was outside of the vote the previous week, which led to that flare between him and James. So. Interested to see how he makes out in this episode.
So we'll see how that all plays out. Make sure you guys follow at Buffs and Snuffs on Twitter and follow us at Underground PHI, Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel where you get full video episodes of every single podcast on our network. It's youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Matt, I figured we'd end with this. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Just list some things that we're thankful for.
Oh, man. Thankful for my health. As I get older, I take that for granted less and less. Just waking up every day, being healthy, being able to do your your normal routine as it is. Very thankful for that. Thankful for my family, my blood and added family, present company included. I'm just, as you get older, I just feel like it becomes a little. You take a lot of happiness and joy out of just the little stuff, and I'm looking forward to being very full and happy tomorrow. Big belly with some soccer and football on to enjoy my time.
Absolutely. I think I echo those. Family. Thankful for this guy right next to me. Get to talk every single week with him, talking sports, stuff that we love for the last almost 5 years has been just like a dream that I don't think we would have ever thought, back in high school that would be possible.
Didn't know what a podcast was in
no,
high school. I
had
was
no clue. It was that app on the phone that it was like, what the heck is this? And here we are, turning it into, hopefully something that is a full-blown career for us at some point. And, just thankful for our whole crew, Dom, Dylan, DJ, Pitts, Stephen McAvoy, the whole crew who, do great work for us and have turned this thing into a whole-blown media company. And, just thankful for just the opportunities that we get afforded every single day. And the whole family, whole kit, kat, and caboodle. And like you said, being full tomorrow is going to hit quite different. It's going to be great to just kind of sit back, enjoy, and be in, what was that, fourth level of hell, gluttony?
Yes, I think.
So
or
there
third.
it is. Thankful for everybody who listens and tunes into this show as well. It means a lot to us. And make sure you subscribe. Tell everybody at your Thanksgiving dinner tables to subscribe. And big thank you to our sponsors, Main Auto LLC, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. This has been episode number 484 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. For Matt, I'm KB. Till next time, we are signing off. Peace.